Good morning, everybody. Got to have my microphone on to start this show. Let's get this show started. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's August 3rd, 2023. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. I'm so glad to be here on DYOR Live, here on the DYOR Media Network. That's how it is, baby. We roll. We bring you the best news. No technical snafus on the start today for the first time in a long time. And as I always say, we'll have a few technical snafus, but the conversations will always be top notch. And I like to thank Mrs. Striking here for a wonderful cup of tea. She's ignoring me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, welcome to the show. Comments, put them on, if you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube, put them in the comments and I can monitor them here. We'll put them up on the show for discussion. It's been a little while since I've been on the air. I'm back in the Chicago studio for a few days before schlepping back to the Ottawa studio. And we've got lots to talk about. There's always news, and like in the byline of the body of this episode, I say John Lennon or a Beatle famously says, "Strange days indeed," and that's what it is in crypto. And those strange days are coming home to roost for Richard Hart. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Anyway, so it's August 3rd, 2023. The year's almost over. We're going to have the Christmas decorations up pretty soon in the big box stores. But here on DYOR Live, we'll have Pedro, the crypto chart analyst. I don't see him on the... chatted with him this morning, but I don't see him on the call-in. So we'll have to wait around for him to come on. Pedro's going to give us an overview of how the market is doing in light of these weird news. The market's not good for HEX and Pulse. No, as I say. No, the market is not good for that. Got some funny things coming later regarding HEX. Anyway, Pedro's going to give us an overview of the market. And as always, Pedro will hit us with his... market conspiracy theories and overall color commentary on the show today. But for those of you tuning in, I appreciate it. I appreciate those of you on YouTube and those of you on LinkedIn now. I'm glad to have some people watching there. Really appreciate it. Brad, thanks for watching. Brad says, "Sup, dude? Stoked for this." No, stoked for this. Not stoked. Sorry, Brad. Everyone in the studio is getting a kick out of that gaffe. Anyway, Brad Holland of 5 Goats marketing agency does good work with real world assets. We'll have more from him at another time. As he says, always, bro. I've got my unbelievably, I got my comment system working on the first go at it here this morning. I'm always so happy when that happens. Come on, Pedro, where are you at? This is the time to introduce Pedro. Allow him to start talking. Where he's stoked. Yes, yes, Brad, stoked. Not stroked. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this show is rated PG-13. Oh. Anyway. Good show. A couple things I'd like to talk about in the morning. As always, at the beginning of the show, I'd like to mention DYOR Network's primary sponsor, Auditchain. We'll have more from Auditchain later. Thank you to them for sponsoring our content. I'd also like to thank Swiss Asset DAO. Many of you have talked about or heard me talk about Swiss Asset DAO. Swiss Asset DAO. They need a good acronym. Swiss Asset DAO, in the context of setting up a a new DAO under the laws of Switzerland, completely legal, legitimate, fully licensed, and everything. We'll report to the tax authorities, no problem. Everything's set, and their main goal is to trade in the real world assets and off-chain financial instruments or off-chain assets, however you want to say. I believe they're going to begin by allowing real world investments to be packaged with crypto, kind of bringing crypto into the real world instead of real world into the crypto. Anyway, so we'll talk more about Swiss Asset DAO pretty much all the time because I'm participating in that program, and they've got, since they're just setting up, they got a lot going on. They got community building going on. They got their legal structure set up, and if you know anything about a DAO does that in basically a community setting. Hold on a second, I'm gonna move some stuff around. And so they need your help. They need everyone's help. Need everyone's help. Need to grow, and if they want to be the size of Maker DAO, which we all know is a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate now. It started out with a bunch of dudes putting together a DAO, and then now it's huge. Anyway, so you'll hear me talk about those things. But as always, the news in crypto. Let's see, where is this news here? I don't know if you can see this well. It's just, oh, it's lovely. We'll have some good talks about Richard in a few minutes here, but let's get back to the main news of the day. I realize that you guys, it's Thursday, and everyone is already well into the week and all that. And that nothing in the news phases anyone now. Really, in crypto, does any bit of news phase you? No. But anyway, some of the more important things to talk about is the leakage that that the SEC is investigating Binance, and the word leaked out about that yesterday. Specifically, this art. Why is my thing all washed out there? Speaking of, this is CoinDesk. Stop putting this big, huge menu at the top with ads on it. Please put the normal one so we can deal with it on our shows and all that. It's a pain in the keister. Anyway, this article is about Binance could face U.S. fraud charges, but prosecutors worry about the risk of a bank run. One of the things that we've been complaining about a long time is that the SEC and the prosecutors that are basically Joe Biden's henchmen going after crypto are not understanding the downstream effect. And they keep going about, let me rephrase that. They've been going about this as if crypto is just this small group of scam artists, of which there are a small group of scam artists, don't get me wrong, but not the large industry that it is. And when FTX blew up, we saw massive downstream effects. We saw good companies and bad companies go out of business. We saw margin calls. We saw people get wrecked. And Binance is the largest exchange out there still internationally. And going after Binance and making a mess of things will have a tremendous downstream effects. Oh, sorry, I stopped on Wendy O's face there. It didn't work out so well for her. Sorry, it was a bad stop. God, that's just, I'm going to have to go to a different, we'll go to decrypt. Anyway, I'll see, it's still all washed out. I'm going to need to fix that. Let's see, desktop capture. Let's see if I can figure this out without driving all of my viewers away. My software I use for my virtual studio moves that around, and I don't know why. No? Center TV. There we go. Fixed it. All right. Goodbye, Mrs. Striking. Anyway, if they are to take Binance down and charge them and do seize assets and all types of things, it would create just a massive downstream effect of people getting wrecked. And they're already doing that. Just by leaking that, they caused BNB to drop another $30-$40. And the two leakages they've kind of done, which I'm suspecting it's somewhat intentional, is to get the word out that they're investigating and basically put the hurt on Binance enough so that Binance comes to the table and just basically pays some huge fines. In fact, a bunch of the articles talk about how that it's much, even from the SEC's point of view, it's much more wise to go in and say, fines, this, will not do that anymore, sign agreements, you're not allowed to trade these things, this, yada, yada, yada. It's a win for the prosecutors. They'll get $1 billion in fees that the SEC gets to put in their pocket. They don't have to turn it in to the government like the CFTC does. Nope, the SEC goes, puts it in the pocket, and can use it basically however they want. Not fair at all. But anyway, look at that. And then Binance announces a new money laundering officer and compliance officer. Christian Hecht is the new deputy chief compliance officer. Well, good for Binance for going with it. Anyway, the downstream effects would be terrible. Terrible if they screw this one up. We just need more time. We need more time for real legitimate exchanges. I shouldn't say legitimate. Binance is legitimate. It's a legitimate exchange. They operated long before there were any type of rules. And so the regulators now are going back and saying, oh, well, they did all these things illegally and this kind of stuff. But back then, you know, in 2017, 18, and 19, the regulators weren't even looking at this. They were just like, wow, this crypto stuff, we don't know anything about it. And the exchanges and people were like, hey, we're here. It's new and different. But the government was like, well, we don't know what to do. It's probably illegal, but we don't know. And now they're going back and saying, you were bad then. But in the meantime, new exchanges are starting up. Like a good example is the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. Started a whole new crypto exchange. With the everything that's listed there has to be traded through their exchange. No direct to retail. They take custody and this type of stuff. I don't know how they're going to get around paying all that gas, moving stuff around for custody. I don't get it that, but they started off from scratch. Now under the guise of we're legitimate, and so nobody even pays attention to them, not even a little bit. But Binance, since they operated in the past, I mean, all these people are saying, "Oh, Binance," and they list the dates, 2017 to 2020. In crypto, that's like 6 decades ago. That's like forget it, forever. It's forever ago. Betty Baskin says they got gas. They got gas. I guess referring to my custody thing. When I guess I'll expand on that just to be clear on it. If they force all crypto to go through custody holders and a clearinghouse, just like the stock market does, the whole point of the way smart contracts are written to have direct, we can send things directly, we can trade directly, it's decentralized. If they force things to go through it, in essence, you have to send your crypto to somebody to hold it in trust while they match the trades, and then the trust company sends it back to you. There's potentially a lot more gas, and if it's ETH, that's a problem. Who's going to pay for it? If you have to add an extra transaction in, like say the gas price of ETH is up, say it's you're running $10 to trade $100 in ETH, and suddenly there's an extra transaction in there that adds another $10 to it. I mean, you could do one transaction and lose 20-30% of your money just because of a custody thing for security and safety that the government says. I don't know what's more safe than directly sending it to someone with no intermediary. Just here, exchange, boop. In a smart contract thing that if anything goes wrong with it, all aspects of it fail. Many of the regulators don't understand this, how smart contracts work. They're all or none. Either the whole thing works or the whole thing doesn't work. So I'm not getting this. I mean, I can see if like Betty Baskin's trading company buys $1 million in ETH and just wants to have it on their balance sheet, but they don't. The accountant isn't keeping it in his wallet. They give it to a custody company, and that custody company is the same one that they work on that works with their exchange that they're using. I can see that. Then it's already in their custody. They can trade it and move it around. But it's not cheap to do that on the great Ether. I almost said that wrong. Ethereum chain. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody that's watching on LinkedIn. I appreciate it. Drop some comments in there. Helps get the word out if people are chatting. Give me a yo bro or something. Don't give me a yo bro. Give me something. It helps the LinkedIn algorithm get it in front of more people if people are actively chatting. Thank you very much. And of course, thank you everyone watching YouTube for this. We'll have Pedro on here. Sure, I don't know where Pedro went. Oh, Pedro, where are you? We got to start talking about HEX, but I want to get the market conditions in first and see what your take is on it. There we go. Betty Baskins. Yo, bro. I like to tell people I'm not a yo, bro channel. Not a yo, bro channel. Yet, apparently whenever I do that, people comment and then start watching. Yes. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, is usually with us. I've talked to him this morning. I'm guessing doing the old school method text. That he got the time zone wrong. Pedro bounces between a couple of time zones like I do, and we screw it up a lot. Anyway, I've got a hard stop at half hour from now at 10, so I'm going to get into the talk about HEX here soon. I've got a good one for you. This is going to be fun, so stick around for a few minutes here. I've always been wanting to do skits. The entertainment value of this is just too much. It's just too much. I guess I can take that down. I love it. I love it when the technology just works. This morning I fired up my show. The great virtual studio is working right. My comment system's working right. My CPU isn't at 100% maxed, and I'm doing the max headroom type thing. It's wonderful. Doesn't always happen. Doing this thing as a one-man show. Anyway, before we get into the other stuff, here comes Pedro. But anyway, Pedro, I see you there. Hold on a few minutes. One of the other things we got to talk about is Coinbase's. We'll just bring up this article. Where is? Oh, I had it. Bald. It's the bald. Had an incredible rug pull. Incredible rug pull with some weird twists to it. As we all know, or maybe you don't know, Coinbase has started their own level 2 blockchain. It's called Base. And they said for a couple of months they're talking about launching it. It's going to be great. It's going to be all this thing. It caused Coinbase's stock to shoot up. Everything was great. They're getting in the DeFi game. All is awesome, except for one thing. The scammers beat them to the PR punch, meaning that the scammers took the thunder out of their wings, took the flap out of. I don't know what the right term is, but when Base launched, people started bridging some money over to it and said, "All right, let's see what we got here." And of course, they just FOMO into the newest projects, right? They FOMO into the newest projects, and the newest projects was one of the hottest ones. Is one called Bald. because the CEO of what the hell's his name? Brian Armstrong is famously now bald. And so they had a meme coin, bald, and it went up through the roof. It just went crazy. There's news articles and quip things going around. People going, "Oh my God, dude, a bro turned $500 into $1 million. That's why we do this crypto thing. It was amazing." People are showing the chart. It's crazy, all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, rug pull. They got wrecked. It was a trick. And then, of course, bald wasn't the only one. There was a whole bunch of them that everyone thought was pretty much the same rug pull factory running all this. And so all the first bunch of projects on Base all turned out to be rug pulls. And just frankly, where you get inexpensive blockchains, it's cheap and easy for people to rug pull everybody. Pedro disappeared. Pedro, where'd you go? And so they got scammed. And interestingly enough, this is what's interesting. It's this article I have up here on the big screen here behind me. Is that this is obviously a Photoshop of Sam Bankman-Fried with his hair shaved off. But the wallets involved in the rug pulls have FTX and Alameda links to them. It's interesting. There are internet sleuths out there doing it. So if you're one of those guys that's a sleuth that's working on it, the guys that go through the chain type stuff, good for you. But I'm not one of those guys. However, I like to do a little sleuthing on my own, but I don't go at it for all hours of the night. But the fact that it's connected to some of these wallets is really weird, because generally people that do rug pulls have fresh wallets with fresh Tornado Cash or Mixer money in it, so you can't see where the funding money came from. And then after the rug pull, it goes back out into the Tornado Cash alert. But not this time. This time the wallets came back to some SBF Alameda linked wallets. It doesn't mean it was their wallets. It just means that somehow it was linked to them. And this article, of course, people go on to speculate like crazy. And on Twitter, there's a zillion Twitter threads about it also. This man just rug pull us again from the suburbs. The author writes, "I'm 99% sure that it's either someone from Alameda, FTX, or SBF himself." Cochran told Decrypt on Twitter. Apparently, some former FTX folks think it's Sam as well. Others point to specific phrases and the way he writes. The way you write gives you away. I got to tell you that. It definitely gives you away. Anyway, very weird surrounding that whole thing. But Coinbase, once again, has the egg on their face because the bald guys got rugged. Here we go. Here's the thing. Bald meme coin on Coinbase. Layer 2 goes to zero as dev pulls the liquidity. I got to tell you, it was a lot of liquidity. I think it was $37 million or something. $25.6 million in liquidity. How about that? How about that? All right, let's see if I can get Pedro here. Pedro,
Hey,
you there?
me? Yeah, but I can hear you.
All right,
Can you hear
I
me?
just can't hear you. Hold on, let me get you. Check 1 2. Pedro, give me an audio check.
Audio check 1.
All
Audio
right,
check
that's
1.
not coming to me for some reason. Let me
Hello,
find it.
hello. Hello from the other side.
Let's see. Pedro. Check. Pedro, give me another audio check. Check. All right. I don't know why I can't hear you. Do. All right, I can see you. And I can hear you. Let me rephrase that. I can't hear you. Let's see. I got this. That's in my ear. How about now, Pedro? Check, check, check. All right, we got you. Welcome, Pedro. Welcome to the show today. Yep, I know what you're saying. All right. The bald meme coin that was a rug pull on the base, on Coinbase's base blockchain. People did some wallet tracking where the money went, and a bunch of the money went to wallets held by former FTX, Alameda, and related entity insiders. Yeah, old wallets, like not like just like wallets that have been around for a long time, wallets that have been involved in projects that FTX had been involved in, 2 years ago, things like that. Very, very strange. I know. Hold on, Yeah. Good morning, Carmen Crypto. Sorry, go ahead. That's messed up, as they say, right? Although there's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on with Argentina and the gangs down there and stuff like that, and like he was borrowing money when his investments went against him. The story's not. Nobody knows the full truth, but people have heard enough on the street to say there was a lot of shady stuff going on. Anyway, Pedro, I don't have a lot of time today. Give us 5 minutes of the markets here before I get into talking about HEX. Yeah, you can't hear it. I have my bland background music playing. Right. Strange. Which chart we got up there today? Yep. Yep.
Area and come down and test this 24,000 mark area. It's a slow grind, it's looking like, but I'm pretty positive it's going to come down to this area of that 24,000. Again, this is educational, and this is not, this is not professional advice. This is educational and entertainment purposes only. So as we're looking at this movement down here, I'm honestly looking for it to come back down to that 24,000 mark area. Taking longer than I expected, but it is starting to move down and we're seeing it. The biggest thing you want to look for is this area right here.
Yep.
That I've talked about here a couple times now, which is that 24,000. And then if you're looking to be shorting it, right, I think this, I'm sure, will probably go all the way down to, again, like I said, that 20,000 area, 15,000 area will descend down. We're already starting the descent of it. And we're seeing shorts kick up and starting to push the market down. So that's them definitely putting their positions in.
All right.
That's in a nutshell.
Let's see. Hold on, are you there? I just clicked a button I maybe shouldn't have.
Is that Carmen? Can you hear me?
Oh, I got you.
Carmen?
No, it's no. Carmen's not here. She was just commenting on the screen.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing here that we're seeing with the markets. Like, is it going to be something like this, right? But the thing is I would expect this to be a higher push up, and it didn't.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Try checking my audio. Sorry, Pedro.
It's okay. You're right. In a nutshell, our push-ups are getting less and less and less. That's just that's the best way of putting it. If you look, we had a big push-up, came back.
All right.
Pretty big push.
All right. So what do you think by the close tomorrow night? What do you think we're going to be? You're going to be higher or lower than where we are now? What's the magic cards say? Magic charts say, I mean.
Magic charts are probably saying that we're going to continue down. We'll probably close. I'm pretty positive at that that low for the week, which is basically the 28,000 mark.
Here that I can't hear you. The internet can hear you, but I can't for some reason.
So that's what I'm looking at overall, is to sit there and see if these markets do not understand why they take my designations away on this. It's the most frustrating thing. Anybody is working at TradingView,
yeah,
figure out why my stuff keeps doing that. It's like the most frustrating thing.
All right, Pedro. I'm gonna go to commercial here real quick, and then when I come back, we're gonna talk about Richard Hart and HEX.
All right.
All
Cool.
right. Most of you know that crypto exchanges have been taking a beating about transparency, and many groups out there are trying to solve that. But Auditchain has already done that. Auditchain's protocols and network of validators can mathematically prove that a company's entire financial state, not just proof of reserves, but a proof of state, and whether or not that company is providing accurate reporting and information to the respective government regulators and to the public. Seriously, you and I can check crypto companies and traditional companies
financial reports for transparency and accuracy using a logic and reasoning engine called Pacioli that records its output where? On the blockchain. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, blockchain technology is now able to be used to check on traditional companies. Behind me is a list of companies that comprise the S&P 500, S&P 100. In essence, the largest U.S. companies by size. More than one quarter, 29 out of 100, have problems with their reports. Remember, accounting and other corporate systems are garbage in and garbage out. So if there are problems with the data out for these companies, in red here, what does that mean? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There are problems with the data going in. And this was figured out not by accounting or auditing firms and fleets of consultants. This was compiled and reported on by Auditchain's Pacioli validating nodes and took only 5 minutes. It's revolutionary and it's a disruptor technology.
Right.
Auditchain.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what shall we talk about today? Pedro, can you see what I've got going on here?
Give me 1 second. Oh, snaps.
Gotta have a little fun every now and then.
Yeah, it's funny. That's good.
Where's that article about? Here we go. Oh, of course that the screen puts it over there behind me. It's trying to get a little Richard Hart action going on here. Let's see if we can get a better website. CoinDesk's website sucks. Cointelegraph. Oh. All right, where's the Richard Hart story here? Wow, Cointelegraph buried it.
It's funny because one thing about I would say with the HEX community is that I went on their Telegram, and then I went into the Telegram, and they were just it's kind of crazy in there, and then what was it, Twitter? I don't know why I'm saying Telegram, but man, Twitter was going nuts.
Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was
They
nuts.
were
And
like-
the defense of him is the sudden Twitter lawyers that just came out and arguing that the SEC is wrong. I'm going to pontificate a little bit here for a minute, but this is one of the first times I think the SEC got something right in crypto. And in fact, the legal community in many of the articles that talks about this says in a rare turn of events, the person that is handling the case for the SEC is actually quite knowledgeable. And the investigators they used to figure this out actually figured out what was going on. It's not just the typical case, which they say, oh, we think you're a security. They actually uncovered fraud and misuse of funds and that type of stuff. And people are trying to defend that by saying, well, he said, it doesn't really matter. Nobody cares what happened to the ETH and this kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into the details of this, but the general idea, people were sending in ETH, they were getting HEX, and he was taking the ETH and either spending it or turning it around and pumping the token's price back up by using that ETH to buy it himself. And then Richard Hart amassed a massive position in HEX. And then so he dumped it, and all the major downturns pretty much stemmed from those wallets that were traced to this. And so he made a fortune, which is probably would have been legal if he told everybody and had a prospectus and said this is how it's going to work. But since he didn't tell anybody there's a lot of people that got in on HEX that was high, and then when the insider dumps it and goes low, that's not legal. Whether or not it's a security or not doesn't matter. It's not legal to do that. And because essentially it's double dealing, it's fraud. There's all sorts of things that the government can trip you up on. But this is the first time I saw it, and I said it's right. It got the right thing. I was never taken with the HEX community. I'm sure I'm going to get probably firebombed, probably get swatted. The whole thing is going to be probably blow up at me just for speaking out against HEX. It was a good thing while it's lasted. But here's the overriding thing, and you'll hear me talk about this, and you'll hear my sponsor, Auditchain, talk about this a lot too, and specifically Jason Myers from Auditchain talk about if you're paying, if someone expects a return, or if you're offering a return on any investment whatsoever that you've put out to the public, not to your small group of friends or to a group of VCs, but out to the public like crypto is, and the people expect a return, that is an investment that is regulated in the United States, whether you call it something that's regulated by the SEC or something that's by the CFTC or anywhere else. And eventually the SEC is going to come calling and say you cannot have an investment contract, which was people staked their ETH was, and it wasn't or HEX for, and it wasn't staking in order to run validating nodes in which there was an actual work utility. What I've been saying on this channel over and over and over and over again is that utility is when customers pay you with their money and you take their money in exchange for services. Utilities are not staking. Utilities are not rewards. Those are Ponzi schemes. They just build upon their own FOMO, and all the money that comes in is your exit money if you're the developer or the early investors. And that's how it worked. A lot of people made tons of money in HEX, and the couple of people that made a lot of money on it were promoted by the HEX community and put out there as, see, this is really great. But really, it turns out a lot of people didn't make a lot of money. A lot of people made a little bit of money, and a lot of people made some money, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. A lot of people lost are just upside down in it. They bought when it was pumping, and then hard dumped on them. But that's what the accusations are. I'm just saying what's public info, and then they got wrecked. And we've been telling you over and over and over again, if you invest in projects that the only utility is themselves, it's like a celebrity. It's basically like a celebrity. Why is a celebrity famous? That celebrity famous? Oh, they're famous because they're famous. You're like, wait, like Paris Hilton and people like Kardashian. Well, the Kardashians have a show now that people pay them for. That's different. But there's lots of celebrities who are just famous because they're famous. And you're like, wait, well, which came first? Were they famous or were they a celebrity? Whatever. That's what these things are like. If they don't have people paying, here's my credit card. I'm sending you money. I'm going to a store and buying your product. I'm hiring you to do this. If they don't do that, then you don't have utility. I don't care what you say. You can say, we're the cryptos, we're DeFi's best protocol, blah, 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 whatever. Unless someone's paying you for it, you have no utility, and eventually the SEC will come knocking and say, you just offered an investment contract that just takes other people's money and spends it. That's my Richard Hart opinion today about HEX and Pulse. I didn't get in on Pulse either. When the sacrifice time came, I was short on funds, and I needlessly sacrificed my money on rent, food, and heat, and taking care of my kids. And so I didn't sacrifice to Richard Hart, and I was missing out. I was like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. Everyone, the FOMO was huge. It was going to go crazy, and now it's down. You know, the people that sacrificed their investments down to 10x or whatever.
I want to point out something in relationship to the hack. I mean, just HEX in itself. So I remember when it was pumping and a bunch of stuff was going on, and I was looking at the chart, and I really saw that I mean, it really, like you said, it just and then the nuttity. I don't want to call it the nut. I'll call it the nuttery. The nuttery that people just didn't think common sense, right? Like they just literally didn't think common sense, and they honestly thought like this is gonna be the next best thing next to sliced bread and cheese, right? Like it was nuts. I mean, it was like I think it was 100x. People had, I think it was nuts right here, right? So it was, what is it, 0.0, and its peak, what was it? I forget exactly what it was. It was almost 100x, right?
Right.
It was, but yeah, it was ridiculous up in this area here. And I remember sitting there going, there's no test. And this huge explosion here as we were coming down, I remember coming down here. I think it was, yeah, it came back up. This is where it was at. It was coming back up. And so I started talking about how X will most likely come back down to these lower levels here, which is that like 0.001-ish area. Or it was 0.01 area to 0.009. And I remember telling people, and this HEX guy started harassing me. And I said, look, man, like the reality is this isn't going back to all-time highs.
Right.
There's nothing in the chart that says that it's going to continue up. And I said, if you're looking to buy down in these lower levels here at the 0.01 to 0.009. I mean, now it's almost half that. So it's kind of nuts to see where it's been going and how it's actually been happening. Now, my question is for you. Is there a way, because there's a lot of money and a huge community, if Richard Hart is no longer there, and he lived a very crazy, just flamboyant lifestyle, and with the guns, like when they're carrying guns and all these other stuff that would basically go through and push their name out, right? Whether they were like that or not, they had a very, what's the word I want to use? A very dynamic personality type, right? He's a chill fashionista, whatever it is, right? And then you also see him in the backwoods carrying guns and being crazy. So it's like, without him, do you think that HEX could come back? Do you think that its chain and its ability with this community to really bring him back? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it's screwed because PulseChain, when it launched, it took so long to launch it that it lost its hype and all that. And frankly, as the market has matured, first of all, HEX is done. It's going to go to zero. But with Pulse and PulseX, the markets want chains that they can develop on and be guaranteed that their ecosystem is going to grow and help them grow. They want a foundation behind the blockchain, like the Solana Foundation, the Cardano Foundation, stuff that will give grants to help projects build on their chain. They don't want something that may go belly up tomorrow or may get scammed. And, everyone enjoyed Richard Hart's persona in that. It was great. It was especially great for the younger crew to see a guy that was a little older than them getting wealthy and sticking it to the man, as they say, and flaunting his wealth. And it had an entertainment value, too. It wasn't, everyone knew there was some entertainment in this, too. But the younger generation really enjoyed watching him stick it to the man. But the older generation, Pedro, you and I, we'll call it the older generation, we know that what goes around comes around. And if you're out on the internet flaunting your wealth, eventually that's gonna come get you, because you're doing it to satisfy an ego. And if you're building your ego around wealth like that, generally means you're taking some shortcuts to do that. And Richard Hart did, just like that crypto influencer wound up chopped up in a suitcase. And so we knew this is karma's gonna be a bitch on this one, and it was. But anyway, Pedro, I do have a hard stop here at 10 o'clock today, so I got to get going. We'll talk more about HEX and Pulse as more news comes out. Pedro, thanks for the short but sweet info today about that, and we'll talk more. I will be live tomorrow, and I won't have a hard stop tomorrow, so we can go on ad nauseum, as they say.
All right. Hey, you have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
All right. So everybody, thank you for joining in once again. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the DYOR live show on the DYOR Media Network. Thanks to my sponsor, Auditchain. Thanks to our new project coming on, Swiss Asset DAO. And thanks to Brad at 5 Goats for spending a lot of time commenting on here. We will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow. We love you. Tomorrow.
You got a new